Hello everyone watching right now or in the future. Today we're going to be studying Genesis chapter 23. So before we start, I have a couple things to say, and meanwhile hopefully more people can join. So today's lesson is going to be your normal Genesis lesson, but and we're continuing Abraham's story. But I wanted to wish everyone like a happy back to school and hope that it's going good for all of you. And yep, I know my sister started today, so yeah, anyone that's watching and that's going back to school, I start school on Monday, August 24th, but for whoever has already started, I just wish you have a good return to school, safe, and you're healthy. And I'm praying for you guys. So, today, we're gonna study Genesis 23. Sorry, I forgot. Another announcement that I had is that on Sunday, we are actually able to have our summer event for summer 2020. It's gonna be a Dairy Queen lunch, and I sent everyone the flyer on the text group chat and on the Snapchat group chat, and I've already told all of your parents, at least from the youth that attends Iglesia Siloe. I've already told all the parents and texted them, and I'm gonna call them on Saturday to confirm. And yep, if they have any questions, they can call me. They all have my phone number. And so it's gonna be so much fun because we're gonna get to go to Dairy Queen, and then it's pretty cheap. You just have to take like $7, and you can get either like a whole meal and a sundae for $6, or you can get a 2 for $4, or you can just get ice cream, whatever you want. But it's after church, so that's why we're calling it a lunch. We usually get out at like 10:30, and we'll be taking the church van, all the cleaning and the gas. I'm going to take care of the cleaning and all that, and the insurance and the plates should be good. So we have permission from everything from Pastor, and yep. I'm excited because, again, it's the first and only event we have this summer because of the global pandemic, COVID-19. And so otherwise we would have had camp or something new. But yeah, we're going to go to Dairy Queen on Sunday at 10:30 on the van. You have to bring your mask because you can't go into any public place in the state of Colorado without wearing a mask. Right now, it's part of the law. And bring $7, and yeah, just bring yourself, and we're gonna play some games and just talk with each other and get to hang out a little bit while doing social distancing. And yeah, I'm gonna have everything there so we can be safe and clean, and so we can have fun. I guess it's the first Sunday of back to school, but that's okay. And yep, I just hope that you guys are able to make it, everyone. Hi Eva, I'll be watching on TV. Yay, I'm so excited for Dairy Queen too. Yep, so yeah, I hope you guys are excited as Eva. I'm really excited. And I have some board game, kind of like a board game. I guess it's a card game, but it's gonna be fun. And yep, I just hope you guys come. Again, all your parents have the information. Make sure they fill out the form that I sent them online. And yep, so we're gonna go ahead and pray our normal prayer and get right into the video. Dear Lord, open my eyes that I may see wonderful things in your law. Psalm 119:18. Amen. So again, that's our prayer. Debbie's watching with me. Oh, hi Debbie. So yeah, if you're watching, make sure you say hi so I know you're watching, because I can only see the numbers. I can't really see who's watching. But thanks for commenting and for putting me on the TV. That makes me feel special. So we're going to be reading today kind of a sad story, and we'll be discussing why. And I have my New International Version, and then last time I also talked about this other. Oops, I messed up. I pulled the string. The other time I also mentioned this Bible that I have, which is in a King James Version, which is hard to read, but I grew up reading it in Spanish, so I guess it's not that hard once you actually like read it for a long time. But yeah, I'm almost 20, so I've been reading the Bible the hard way in Spanish since I was little. But now we have really cool new versions that I like to use, for example, the New International Version. But this one just has a really cool reference, cross-reference for students. And I actually want to show you guys this because when you get older, you should probably get one of these. So it's a cross-reference Bible. And on the bottom of each page, I can't zoom the camera in, but I'm going to put my Bible. On the bottom of each page, it has like a reference. And down the middle of it too. And so this is really helpful when you're studying and you're like, what's going on? I don't know the history. And this is really cool because it gives us history. And it's kind of a commentary, and I also try to double check it when I can, but I, for the most part, agree and trust with what the commentary says. But yeah, I really like the references, and you can't lie about the references because it's literally, the Bible is like in front of you, any other reference that you have. And as you can see, I've used it up pretty much for a really long time, and I just got this new one. So I'm going to be using this as a reference. And we're going to go ahead and get started. So if you have your Bible, you should probably take it out now. And let's get started. So this is kind of a morbid story, kind of sad, but it has significance in the Bible like everything else. And yeah, let's just get into it. So Genesis 23, the death of Sarah. It says, Sarah lived to be 127 years old. 127. She died at Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron. So that's a place in the land of Canaan. And Abraham went to mourn for Sarah and to weep over her. So as you remember, Abraham stays in Beersheba. So he's basically like around Canaan, and that's where Sarah dies. It says, and so Abraham went to mourn for his wife, that they've been married for hundreds of years. It says, and Abraham rose from beside his dead wife and spoke to the Hittites. So the Hittites are a group of people like the Jewish, Americans, Mexicans, Canadians, Brazilians, I guess like French, German, like a group of people, like a tribe. And so he's in their region. So he said, I am a foreigner and a stranger among you. Sell me some property for your burial site here so I can bury my dead. So this is really interesting, which we'll get into as we do the video. But they had like a whole process. The Jewish tradition has a whole process for burying people. And yeah, it's a little bit more different than like what we do, but you have to get a place to bury the person, and you mourn the person that dies. I'm kind of saying it like as whatever, but I don't mean it that way. It's really sad when you lose someone, and so Abraham's just doing all the steps, and one of them is to get a property in a foreign land, to make sure that his wife has a good burial place. It says, the Hittites replied to Abraham, Sir, listen to us. You are a mighty prince among us. Bury your dead in the choicest of our tombs. None of us will refuse you this tomb for burying your dead. So the Hittites are like, well, we know you. You're, they call him a prince, but what they mean is like that he is a man of God. Like God listens to him. And clearly God listens to him even though he messes up all the time. Like all of us that are Christians today. But yeah, they're like, you're a mighty prince among us. We know who you are. We respect you. And obviously he's older. And if you remember in one of our older lessons that these Jewish traditions, they really respect older people, so it's pretty serious. And so I'm pretty sure it's both that respect of respecting him as an older person and as a person of God. And it says, verse 7, Then Abraham rose and bowed down before the people of the land, the Hittites. He said to them, If you are willing to let me bury my dead, then listen to me and intercede with Ephron, son of Zohar, on my behalf. So he will sell me the cave of Machpelah. I don't know how to say most of these words, but that's okay. It says, listen to me and intercede. So if you guys remember, we talked about interceding when Abraham intercedes for Sodom and Gomorrah. And so basically it's kind of like being there. For us as Christians, interceding usually has to do with praying. But in this part, Abraham's kind of like, ask him for me and, be that middle person. Ephron is the leader of this place. So it says, So he will sell me the cave of Machpelah, which belongs to him and is at the end of his field. Ask him to sell it to me for the full price as a burial site among you. Ephron the Hittite was sitting among his people, and he replied to Abraham in the hearing of all the Hittites who had come to the gate of his city, No, my lord. So Ephron the leader is answering, No, my lord, he said, listen to me. I give you the field, and I give you the cave that's in it. I give it to you in the presence of my people. Bury your dead. So it says, bury your dead. So basically, Ephron is like, you don't have to pay me anything. Take whatever place you want and go ahead and bury your wife. And so that's pretty nice of the Hittites, and you can tell they respect Abraham a lot, and also for his age, and also because he's mourning his wife's death. It says, again, Abraham bowed down before the people of the land, and he said to Ephron in their hearing, Listen to me, if you will. I will pay the price of the field. Accept it from me so I can bury my dead there. Ephron answered Abraham, Listen to me, my lord. The land is worth 400 shekels of silver, but what is that between you and me? Bury your dead. So it says the land's worth 400 shekels of silver. My Bible here says that is about 10 pounds or about 4.6 kilograms. We don't think in kilograms, I don't think, in the United States. So about 10 pounds. Wow, that's like more than a baby. That's like more than a baby weighs of shekels. So that's a lot of money. But he's like, what's between me and you? Like, I have nothing against you, and you probably don't have anything against me. So just bury your dead. And so 16. Abraham agreed to Ephron's term and weighed out for him the price he had named in the hearing of the Hittites, 400 shekels of silver, according to the weight current among the merchants. So, when I think of like shekels, and because it's silver, I usually think of like, what are they called? The 5 cents. Like a nickel. If that was made of like silver, I think of like 10 pounds of nickels, but they're made of silver. That's kind of how I think of it. So I think of it like in little pouches, but like 10 pounds. Usually a baby weighs, I think, like 7 pounds, if I'm not mistaken. Like 7, 8. So this bag was probably a little bigger than a baby and weighed a lot. And that, or since silver weighs more than other stuff, then it was probably a little pouch that weighed more than baby. So, or maybe a little chubby baby. So, Abraham pays the price, and yeah, he pays the 400 shekels of silver, the 10 pounds of silver. It says, So Ephron's field in Machpelah, near Mamre, both the field and the cave in it, and all the trees within the borders of the field, was deeded to Abraham as his property in the presence of all the Hittites who had come to the gate of the city. Afterward, Abraham buried his wife Sarah in the cave in the field of Machpelah near Mamre, which is at Hebron, in the land of Canaan, So the field and the cave in it were deeded to Abraham by the Hittites as a burial site. Amen. So that's the end of Genesis 23. But there's some really cool stuff going on, even though it's very sad that Sarah dies. And you know what? Sarah, even though the Jewish, as I've mentioned to you guys before and taught you, that the Jewish people really look down on women. Like, women barely have the same voice as men. And there's all these like inequalities between the men being better or higher than the woman. And even though she died, and Abraham loved her and mourned for her a lot, and I'm pretty sure he truly loved her, and she also gave birth to Isaac and to Ishmael, who I'm pretty sure Abraham loved with all his heart. Even though Ishmael was the baby of the female servant, and Isaac was son of Sarah. But I'm pretty sure that just like Sarah just played such an important role, and I want to point that out because we usually only think about Abraham, but Sarah played such an important role, and not only is she the wife of Abraham and followed him and helped him every obstacle that they had, but she also gave birth to Isaac and Ishmael, who God promised and to Abraham that he would make great nations out of them, and that Abraham's descendants would be like the grains of sand on the beach. So she played such a pivotal role in giving birth to the children, and just being like the person that Abraham always went to and counted on, and just fought through the struggle. Like, when they weren't able to have kids, it wasn't just Sarah being sad, it was also Abraham. And when Pharaoh was about to like get really mad at Abraham, it wasn't just Abraham, being yelled at, it was also Sarah that was there by him. So she really endured everything that we talk about Abraham. Sarah endured it with him, next to him. And as we read, she lived 120 years old. No one really lives that age in the 21st century. So those are really long years, and for most of those years she was not able to have a child. And so yeah, I just wanted to point out that even that this death of Sarah sounds kind of insignificant, or like, why do we want to talk about the death of Abraham's wife? Well, she played such an important role, and she's just an example of God doing a miracle in a woman's life, regardless of what her body and the doctors say. Just, they probably didn't have doctors like we do, but what a doctor would say now, God just performed the miracle. And again, her kids, her offspring became a pivotal role, important to humankind, even to this day, and especially to Christianity. So I want to read here some of the references. And so it says, for chapter 23, it says, Abraham mourns and weeps, indicating that he goes through traditional mourning customs of his day. So this includes tearing his clothes, cutting his beard, spreading dust on his head, and fasting. Fasting means you don't eat. This is all done in the presence of the dead body. The Israelites had a very elaborate process, as I was telling you guys, that they went through when someone died. And this is the first record of a man's tears in the Bible. So this chapter is the first time someone cries in the Bible, like someone being recorded crying in the Bible. And as I've mentioned before too, we all have emotions, and I'm pretty sure Adam and Eve and Cain and Abel and Noah and his sons and their wives and Sarah cried, and but like I guess they're all humans, and they probably all cried at some point, because they have emotions, and sadly they were all, entered into a world of sin, so they all had to go through pain. But this is really interesting to me because it says it's the first record, like the first time someone wrote down that a person in the Bible cried. And to me, as like an emotional person, it really speaks to me, because I know it's not okay to always cry and to always be sad, but it's part of human life, sometimes to be sad, especially when someone that you're close to, or that you really appreciate, that you really cared for, or that you're just so used to seeing, that just passes away. It's normal to cry, it's normal to be sad. And so, of course, Abraham has to get up and move on, because him and Isaac still, more Isaac and Ishmael, they still have entire lives ahead of them. And so Abraham really has to be strong, but he took that time, that very intentional time, like the other Israelites, to really mourn and give themselves time to process the loss that they were going through. And I think that's pretty important, because I guess in modern times, we kind of just, we know someone dies, and then we hear about their viewing, and then we hear about their funeral, but then we don't really have like a process for mourning. I guess, as far as I know, we don't really have a process for mourning, so it can really stay locked up in your heart or in your mind for many years, and that can eventually lead to mental diseases like depression and anxiety. And so I think it's really interesting how this traditional mourning custom was also kind of a system for them to not bottle up their feelings and make sure they go through the motions, like every human should when they lose someone, especially. Hi everyone, I am hoping that this resumed. If anyone can let me know in the comments if it resumed. No, I'm not sure if it returned. Okay, let me start.